Hey, what's up everybody? I'm 1 week away from turning 51 and I just did my fastest marathon ever. So in this video, I'm gonna show you the things that I've learned through years of running, training, and coaching others on how to get faster, how to outpace your age, how to keep getting faster year by year. Now, of course, this is kind of anecdotal because it's really based on my story and your results may vary. But first, a little bit of background about today. Today I just did the Standard Chartered Marathon here in Singapore. And you know, last year I did a 3:29, I believe. And I was really pretty happy with that. I was 7th in my age group. And this is out of like, you know, 1,000 or more guys, right? And so I was really happy with that. This year they changed the course. They made it, I'd say, a little bit easier because they put the hill, there was a bridge last year at the very end when you're really fatigued. Now they put it earlier on, so it was a little bit easier. This year I did a 3:21, I believe, and yeah, I'm super happy with that. I'm a year older. How did I do it? Well, I would say there's 3 or 4 things that have contributed to me getting faster year by year. Now, the first marathon I did was in about 2011, 2012 here in Singapore as well. It was the Sundown Marathon, and I was close to 5 hours. And it was, I mean, it was an absolute death march from kilometer 30 on. It was pure agony. It was absolutely terrible. And I was just undertrained and inexperienced. But then year by year, I trained more. I, you know, ran consistently. And of course, I'm swimming and cycling as well. And over the years, you know, my cumulative mileage just has built up. And so I think that's the first thing right there, volume over the long term. So if you're in your 20s, in your 30s, and you want to keep getting faster, you can. Even if you're in your 40s or 50s and you want to keep getting faster, you can. But it does take time. You got to build up that cumulative, long-term, chronic volume, right? So that means running consistently. That's when I really saw the gains. After running like, you know, 3 times a week for probably less than 2 years, a year and a half, then I really started seeing faster times happening, right? Second one is definitely do speed work. So you shouldn't be doing it always, right? You should only be doing it after you've built up a good base. In the 10 weeks leading up to this, I did a series of speed work interval runs at the track, or sometimes not at the track, sometimes just on the road. I started with short 800 meter efforts. Maybe I would do 4 to 6 of them, 800 meters at faster than lactate threshold. So that's really like kind of a sprinting pace, something that's not really sustainable. For me, that's like a 350, 355 pace, really pretty fast for me. So I did those, then I moved those 800s up to 1600s. I like doing those at the track. Those hurt a lot. You know, I'd do 4, 5. I went up to 7 1600s. That's a really monstrous workout because you're doing them at that pace. Then I moved up to 2400s, but I brought the pace down so that it wasn't quite as fast as lactate threshold. And then I think I only did 1 or 2 of those 2400s. And usually between each of these, I would do 2 minutes of rest. And I would even walk if I had to, that's fine. But the key is to really go at those high intervals and build up that lactate tolerance. Then the last series of them that I did was at 3200, 3.2, which is 2 miles, right? So 2 miles, right at lactate threshold. And so that was, yeah, I did those probably 4 weeks of those. And first I'd start out with 3 or 4, and then I moved up to 5 or 6. And when you're doing 5 or 6, I mean, you're pushing a half marathon there at a pretty fast time. Those were my speed work, types of speed work things that I did for probably 10 weeks. But don't do those always, you know, don't do those year round. You can only afford to do those 10 weeks out from the race. And then of course, probably you want to taper and bring those back the last 1 week for sure. I actually did 3 weeks because I felt a little injury. Fine, it was fine, it worked for me. So 1, 2, or 3 weeks of taper is appropriate. Now the third thing for me that really, I believe was the #1 contributor in this season for me was really doing huge volume. And I'm talking, I mean, huge for a normal guy like me. I'm not elite, I'm not that fast, right? But I'm talking 80, 90, 100, 110, 115 kilometers of running a week What I would do is probably 6 days a week. On Fridays, I would do a half marathon. Saturdays, I wouldn't run, I would cycle, and then I'd rest. And then Sundays, I would do a really long run, starting with 25, then moving up to 28, 30, 32, 36. I even went up to 42 and 44, which I don't necessarily recommend. It's a good way to injure yourself. Even 36 is probably too much. A lot of training plans only go up to 32. But for me, it worked. For me, it gave those results because it sort of imposed this muscular fatigue on me to a point where I could really handle it. But today, you know, I really didn't feel that muscular fatigue. I had no real problems. I didn't hit a wall, right? And I really, at kilometer 30, I started feeling fabulous. And then at 34, 35, I got euphoric. And it was just, I guess it was a runner's high. And I really picked up the pace in the last 4 or 5 kilometers. You know, I was basically doing a 4:55 pace the whole way through this race in kilometers, right? And the last 4, 5 kilometers, I'm talking 4:20s maybe, even less, even faster. So I was pretty happy with that because, you know, what they say a marathon is it's 20 miles or like 32K with a 10K race at the end. Basically, the race only starts at that 10K, you know, with that 10K remaining. The 6 miles at the end are where it matters. But last year, you know, I did a similar training block, but the volume was probably only 3/4 or maybe only half. And yeah, I'm telling you, man, at kilometer 32, 33, I was suffering. I was hurting. But here, this time I wasn't really, today I wasn't hurting. I was fine. So you can see here, the taller bars are faster, right? So you can see how I really picked up the pace. Anyway, these 3 things are gonna give you faster marathons with age, I believe. But there's one more that you should not forget, and that's the gym, right? So do plenty of gym workouts, strength workouts, basically lots of stretching, lots of rolling, but lots of weights as well. Anyway, if you're interested in training plan, you can hit me up. I'd love to give you free advice, or of course I can sell you one, or I can coach you as well. But yeah, thanks a lot, you guys. And if you got any value out of this, please hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment below, and tell me what you thought. Tell me what your own experiences are with, you know, getting older and kind of, you know, outrunning the age curve to a point where you still feel young and you're still competing. Thanks a lot, everybody. See you later.